Bienvenidos a la octava clase de este curso de inglés intermedio completamente gratis. I upload a new class every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe to my channel to receive notifications. And don't forget to join the Facebook group where you can download all of my resources, including the presentation for this class. Today we're going to study the passive voice, which is a subject that some students find difficult. First of all, we're going to study the passive voice versus the active voice. Then we're going to study the passive voice in lots of different tenses. And finally, we are going to look at some of the common uses of passive voice. Let's begin. So first of all, we're going to look at the passive voice versus the active voice. What is the passive voice? What do I mean? So a lot of sentences follow the same formula. We have seen this many times. Hemos visto esta fórmula muchas veces in many different tenses. For example, I haven't seen that movie. No he visto esa película. Subject, verb, object. She was washing her car. Ella estaba lavando su carro. Subject, verbs, object. They bought fish and chips. Fish and chips is a British food. Ellos compraron fish and chips. Subject, verb, object. Ana de Armas loves Stuart. That's an imaginary situation. Subject, verb, object. That's present tense. Many people study Chinese. Subject, verb, object, right? Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK in 1963. Again, subject, verb, object. So let's have a look at this example. Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK in 1963. Subject, because the subject does the action. Verb is the action, and then JFK receives the action. He is the object, okay? But in this case, JFK is more important, okay? Say, for example, I am writing an article, and I am focusing my article on JFK. I want JFK to be first in the sentence. Well, then I could say something like this. JFK fue asesinado o fue matado por, was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald in 1963. So it's exactly the same information, but it's organized in a different form. I don't care about Lee Harvey Oswald. I'm writing about JFK. So maybe I'm just going to eliminate all of this. JFK was killed in 1963. These two examples are passive voice, okay? Because the passive object, which is receiving the action, so JFK was receiving the shot, we put it first, okay? That's passive voice. So here you have active voice, and it's called active because the active person is first. And here you have passive voice, and it's called passive because the passive person is first. In this case, you would say, fue asesinado. JFK fue asesinado in 1963. Let's look at an exercise to understand more. Go to point number 1 in the description to do the activity. So this is the activity page. All I want you to do is to look at these examples, okay, and you have to decide if it's active or passive. So, is the focus on the active subject or the passive object? They often listen to music, okay, that's, I think, active, okay, because it's they listen to music. Subject, verb, object. She is reading the newspaper now. She is reading the newspaper. I think, again, subject, verb, object. That looks like active to me. These cars are produced in Japan. Okay, these cars are produced. Son producidos por alguien, por trabajadores, no? These cars are produced. That looks like passive voice to me. These cars are produced. Alguien produce estos carros would be active voice. So I'm going to say that's passive. Finish the activity and I'll see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. So we're going to look at passive voice in different tenses, but first of all, let's have a look at another example of the active voice, okay? Active voice is subject, verb, object. The passive voice, the formula is we put the object first, we have the verb to be, and then we have the main verb always in past participle, and then by, and then a subject, okay? So I look at this example, many people study Chinese. So I would say in present, Chinese is studied by many people. In present continuous, Chinese is being studied by many people. Present perfect, Chinese ha sido estudiado por mucha gente. Has been studied by many people. So you can see the changes happening with the be. The object, the main verb, by, and the subject, that's the same for everybody. It doesn't change. The thing that is changing depending on the tense is be. So what's past? What's be in past for Chinese? It was, right? Chinese fue estudiado, was studied by many people. Past continuous, estaba siendo estudiado, was being studied. Había sido estudiado, had been studied. Será estudiado, will be studied. Va a ser estudiado is going to be studied. Okay? So you can see, like I said, be changes depending on the tense. But studied, estudiado, stays the same. Okay, now it's your turn. Here's another example. French people eat snails. Caracoles, okay? I want you to try and populate this list. Follow the formula. Use this example. Okay, I will give you 2 seconds. Stop the video and try to finish the activity. Because here we go. Here are the answers. 3, 2, 1. Snails are eaten. Now this is plural. Snails, okay? Plural. So it's going to be are, not is. And were, not was, right? Present continuous. Están siendo comidos. Are being eaten. Present perfect. Have been. Because again, it's have, they have. So it's not has. Snails have been eaten. Han sido comidos. Were eaten. Were being eaten. Had been eaten. Will be eaten. And are going to be eaten. Again, passive voice, okay? Active voice and passive voice in many different tenses. Okay, so now it's up to you. I want you to change these active sentences into passive, and you have to change the be part depending on the tense. So look at this, the first one. An asteroid killed the dinosaurs, right? This is past tense, so it says identify the tense. Past tense. So we're going to be using was or were, right? The dinosaurs fueron matados. Okay, so I'm going to say the dinosaurs were. The dinosaurs were, and the verb is killed in past participle is also killed. The dinosaurs were killed by an asteroid. The dinosaurs were killed by an asteroid. So just be careful which tense each one is in. That's past. People use, that's present. Have taught is present perfect. Okay, so remember, be changes. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Stop the video because I'm going to tell you the answers, okay? 3, 2, 1. A man saw a UFO, ovni, objeto volador no identificado, of UFO, unidentified flying object, over Kansas. A UFO was seen over Kansas by a man, if you want to include this, but you don't have to, really. Who cares, right? ¿A quién le importa que fue por un hombre? Es obvio, no? Millions of people use Facebook every day. Facebook is used by millions of people every day. I have taught thousands of students. Thousands of students have been taught by me. Yoko Ono destroyed the Beatles. The Beatles, plural, were destroyed by Yoko Ono. Extraterrestrial aliens will rule the world. The world will be ruled, será gobernado, by extraterrestrial aliens. And finally, an act of stupidity is going to provoke World War III. World War III is going to be provoked by an act of stupidity. One thing to mention, did you notice how the I changes to me here? So I have taught thousands of students. If we're going to use this I, but we're going to use it at the end of the sentence and it's after by, we're not going to say por yo, we're going to say por mí, okay? So notice how I changes to me. If the subject is a subject pronoun, like I, you, he, she, like in this example, yep, it will change to an object pronoun in passive, to me, you, him, or her. Miles de alumnos han sido enseñados por mí, no por yo, right? Same as in Spanish, I suppose. I hope you had the majority of these answers correct. Espero que tuvieran la mayoría correctos. Let's continue. So passive voice, common uses. This is much more interesting. So when we're talking about common uses, passive voice is used a lot in reporting, in newspapers and on the television. Se utiliza mucho en los reportes de cosas que han pasado. Especially when the object of the action is more important, like the example with JFK. En especial cuando el objeto es más importante y lo queremos poner enfrente o al inicio de la oración porque es más importante, como en el ejemplo de JFK. Another reason why we use passive voice is because we don't know the subject. Okay, so for example, active voice. An unidentified man stole a television. Okay. Or here, in this example, you could say, a television set was stolen from a police station yesterday. We don't know who, so we don't include it. So we reorganize the sentence, okay? Una televisión fue robado. En lugar de decir, alguien robó una televisión, se puede decir, una televisión fue robado, right? So, using these verbs, I just want you to read the context and put them in past passive. All of them, it's going to be was or were and a past participle, okay? I'm going to tell you the answers. 3, 2, 1. A drunk, so un borracho who tried to open, quien intentó abrir la puerta de un avión a 30,000 pies, was handcuffed, fue esposado for the rest of the flight, para la duración del vuelo. Unlucky, a climber, una persona que escala, sobrevivió 100 metros en una caída, but sadly he was killed when he fell out of the ambulance on the way to the hospital. Fue matado por caerse de la ambulancia. Still wanted, a fugitive, so that's a criminal. A criminal was captured, fue captado la semana pasada, después de haber llamado al FBI to see if he was still, para ver si todavía lo querían buscar. Yep, a fugitive was captured last week. And here, Mr. Clarence Ramsey was seriously injured yesterday when a man se acercó desde atrás, a man came up behind him and stabbed him, lo apuñaló en la espalda. Turning around, so the man was like, he turned around and the person said, oh, sorry, I thought you were somebody else. Okay, so this is one common use in newspapers and stories. We use passive voice because maybe the object is more important or maybe because we don't know who the subject is. Okay, so continuing the theme. This is a fictitious article about David Beckham. All of these examples are in active voice and it sounds really strange, okay? Todo este párrafo, la historia en un periódico, una historia ficticia, está en la voz activa y se escucha muy extraño. Vamos a ver por qué. I want you to change all of this, all of the underlined sections, I want you to change them into the passive voice, okay? For example, as a headline, for example, Someone killed David Beckham would change into David Beckham was killed by someone. Okay. I don't care about someone. I care about David Beckham, so I put him first. Yep. A murderer shot footballer while he was on vacation. Footballer was shot by a murderer while he was on vacation. So, I want you to change all of this, please. Stop the video and do the activity. Change from active to passive voice. They are in different tenses. A cleaner found, past. Called, past. Have caught, present perfect. Haven't confirmed, present perfect. Found is past, and doctors will transport is future. Okay. So here you have active voice in lots of different tenses, and now you need to change it to passive voice in lots of different tenses. Okay, so stop the video, do the activity. I'm going to tell you the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. An unidentified man killed David Beckham. David Beckham was killed last night in the Tampico hotel by an unidentified man. Okay. A cleaner found the body. The body was found by a cleaner at around 8 a.m. Someone from the hotel called the police at 8:05. The police were called by someone from the hotel at 8:05. Some people believe that officers have caught the criminal already. Some people believe that the criminal ha sido atrapado, has been caught already by officers. Although, so here it says, the police have not confirmed this. Esto no ha sido confirmado por la policía. This hasn't been confirmed by the police. Officer Rodriguez found the murder weapon, la arma. The murder weapon fue encontrado, was found by Officer Rodriguez early this morning. And then finally, doctors will transport his body. Su cadáver será transportado, trasladado. His body will be transported by doctors. Okay? This is beginning to sound more like a proper newspaper article. Ya empieza a escucharse más como un artículo en las noticias. Pero todavía hay más cambios que podemos hacer para que se escuche más normal. Okay. Here we have the same text, el mismo texto ya cambiado a voz pasiva. Vamos a eliminar todo lo que no ocupamos o lo que no agrega información o no nos interesa. Okay, so we're going to eliminate everything that we are not interested in or doesn't make sense or doesn't add any information. Footballer was shot por un asesino. Bueno, es obvio que si lo asesinaron, entonces es un asesino. No estamos agregando nada de información nueva aquí. So let's just cover that up. Footballer was shot while he was on vacation. Okay. David Beckham was killed last night in a Tampico hotel by an unidentified man. Again, it's no information here, so let's eliminate that. David Beckham was killed last night in a Tampico hotel. Sounds like a newspaper. Se escucha como un periódico. The body was found by a cleaner at around 8 a.m. I don't care. A nadie le importa que fue por alguien de la limpieza. The body was found because the focus of the story is the body, right? Finding the body is more interesting. And the time is interesting. But the cleaner? It's not interesting. El cuerpo fue hallado, fue encontrado a las 8. Alrededor de las 8. The police were called by someone from the hotel at 8:05. Es obvio que alguien del hotel, ¿no? Entonces, we don't need to include that. The police were called at 8:05. Some people believe that the criminal has been caught already by officers. By officers? Obviously by the police, right? Some people believe that the criminal has been caught already, although this hasn't been confirmed by the police. Again, we know. No ha sido confirmado. We know the confirmation comes from the police. The murder weapon was found by Officer Rodriguez. I don't care about the officer. I don't. The murder weapon was found early this morning. Interesting. His body will be transported by doctors. I know. Ya sé que son doctores. His body will be transported back to the UK later. Okay, so now this is fantastic. This is a newspaper article. Se escucha como algo de un periódico. We can also change this. Some people believe. Another way of using passive voice in English is when you say se cree que o se dice que. In English, we would say it is believed that, or it is said. Okay, so this is also passive voice. So it could be changing this. Some people believe. Maybe I could say it is believed. It is believed that. It's another option. Let's do some more exercises. Go to point number 2 in the description. You will find many, many activities. This is one example of an activity, okay? This is the page for one of the activities for passive voice. Change these active sentences to passive. Choose if you need the agent or not. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to change this to passive, and we are going to decide if we are going to eliminate the agent or the subject. So here we look at this. The government is planning a new road near my house. Okay, so this is present continuous. I'm going to write a new road is being planned near my house. I think it's obvious that the government is responsible for road planning. Yo creo que es obvio que el gobierno es el que planea las nuevas calles. Entonces no voy a decir by the government, ni lo voy a incluir. Let's check. Perfect. So it's not necessary to include the government. So you need to write the sentence and then decide if you're going to include the agent or not. Finish the activities and I'll see you in a moment. I hope that went well. Let's continue. So basically we've seen the passive voice versus the active voice, and we've seen the passive voice in different tenses, and more importantly, the common uses. Passive voice is used in future with will quite often, but the main uses are present simple and past simple, okay? Something fue hecho or fue decidido, it was done or it was decided. Something is understood or is believed, se entiende o se cree. These are common uses in English, okay, of the passive voice. It's time for a song. So this is a song from 1998 by Whitney Houston, and it's called You Were Loved. Fuiste amado, you were loved. So I want you to take your time to find the examples of passive voice in this song, okay? Here are the answers. 3, 2, 1. So we have different types. You were loved, you were loved, you were loved. Okay, so we've already seen fuiste amado. This is kind of a list. Es una lista de voz pasiva. Solo incluye el verbo be una vez porque está dando una lista. You were loved by someone. Fuiste amado por alguien. Tocado por alguien. Abrazado por alguien. Okay, so these are all passive voice, and then in the rest of the chorus, actually it goes the opposite, active voice. So fuiste amado por alguien, tocado por alguien, abrazado por alguien. We all want to make a place in this world. Todos queremos hacer un lugar en este mundo. Todos queremos que nuestras voces sean escuchados. This is subjunctive in English. Que sean, eso is subjunctive, doesn't really exist much in English, but here you are. This is passive voice, right? To be, past participle. We all want our voices to be heard. Todos queremos que nuestras voces sean escuchados. Everyone wants a chance to be someone. Again, in class 6, we talked about indefinite pronouns. Everyone, someone. Todo mundo quiere una oportunidad para ser alguien. Todos tenemos sueños. Todos tenemos sueños que necesitamos soñar. We all have dreams we need to dream. Sweeter than any star you can reach. Más dulces que cualquier estrella que puedes alcanzar. Because when you reach and find, you found someone. Porque cuando te estiras y encuentras, has encontrado a alguien. It's kind of a weird sentence. You will hold this world's most priceless thing. Tendrás la cosa más preciosa en este mundo. Estoy diciendo preciosa porque priceless, la verdad, significa como muy valioso, muy valoroso. No tiene un precio. Es tan importante que no tiene precio. you'll hold this world's most priceless thing. Cuando encuentres a alguien, tendrás lo más importante en este mundo. The greatest gift this life can bring. El mejor regalo, el regalo más importante que esta vida te puede traer, is when you look back and know you were loved. Es cuando ves hacia atrás, o sea, ves tu vida y sabes que fuiste amado. ¿Okay? Que fuiste amado por alguien, tocado por alguien, abrazado por alguien. Que significaste algo para alguien. You meant something to somebody. You loved somebody. Amaste tú a alguien. Tú tocaste el corazón de alguien. You touched somebody's heart along the way, en el camino. You can look back. Puedes ver hacia atrás y decir que fuiste amado. Sí, lo fuiste. You were loved. Yes, you were. So that's Whitney Houston. There's another song, Sweet Dreams, a very famous song from 1982 by the Eurythmics with Annie Lennox there. And here in these two verses, you can see some examples of passive voice, okay? 3, 2, 1. Sweet dreams are made of this. Los dulces sueños son hechos de esto. Who am I to disagree? ¿Quién soy yo para no estar de acuerdo? This kind of doesn't really make much sense. No tiene mucho sentido. I traveled the world and the 7 seas. Viajé por el mundo y los 7 mares. Todo mundo está buscando algo. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Algunos de ellos te quieren utilizar. Some of them want to get used by you. Algunos de ellos quieren ser utilizados por ti. Get is something else we can look at in the next level. In pre-avanzado, we look at use of get for passive voice, okay? Don't worry about it too much now. It's another complication. Some of them want to abuse you. Algunos te quieren abusar. Algunos quieren ser abusados. Some of them want to be abused. Okay, so there's 3 examples of passive voice in Sweet Dreams. That's everything for this class. Remember that in the description you can find the exam for this class to check your understanding of these topics. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you receive notifications of when I upload a video on Mondays and Thursdays. And of course you can join the Facebook group to download all of my resources, including the presentation for this class. Thank you for learning English with me, and I'll see you next class.